morning, Brandi.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing good.
Good. So, how's it going?
A lot better. Better.
What would you like to talk about today?
I would like to talk about that I couldn't sleep last night because I was thinking about the job. And I stayed up till like almost 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
Because I was, I can say that I have made progress on our last meeting.
Okay.
Because remember I told you I go through highs and lows of this position.
Right.
And I just felt like part of it was my own lack of organization, but then part of it was, I don't know, it's somewhere between, and I'm glad we talked about the skill sets of people, the motivation of whether or not they want to continue on in their position, and how much I can help them. So last week I pulled out all my Strengths Finder and assessment, my 360 assessment, and my DISC personality assessment. Because I was trying to figure out, I was taking from what we said and to go back to my MDP information, and I haven't gotten to the classes, but just pull out that information and see how it can help me, and I realized that one of the things on my Strengths Finder was telling me to let people solve their own problems, which I definitely need to do. And then it was something else that it says, but it was just really eye-opening for me that how accurate that thing it was about me and how I could see some of that in my leadership style, how I always want to help people, and some people just don't really want to help themselves. So my lack of organization was, trying to keep track of the people's portfolio and what was going on with it, and whether or not letters went out, or they were. I'm finding that people aren't updating IRMs with information, and it's not just one person. It was like just a domino effect of my whole entire team, and I was just like, wow, what do I need to do better? And so. And what do they need to do better? Are they at their own capacity, and do I just need to help them go out the door if that's what they want to do? So I just sat there on Friday, and I was trying to get handle of my portfolio. Liz wasn't in, so she couldn't run the reports for me for the whole team, but Marcy has access to, she knows how to run SharePoint reports. So she ran all my below 70 REACT inspections. She ran all my below average and unsatisfactory MORs. And then I was able to go into IRMs because I remember when I was a project manager in Florida, this girl gave me a whole paper from IRMs that told me what my properties were. And I was like, oh, wow. And I emailed her, and I was like, how did you run those reports? But then I replaying around in IRMs. So IRMs reports gave you the management agent, the owner, what type of property it was, and so I was able to, from my list, to go and say, this property has a flex sub, or this property has a use agreement. So it's 700 properties on that list, but I said I got to start somewhere. And then I've been, like I told you, I'm always reading on how to do leadership better, and I found these things that I was going to show you, and I was cutting out to put in my notebook on coaching, and it goes this way, and it was talking about when there's good management, that you're getting to the habit of regularly building structured dialogue with the people, that you're spelling out expectations, that you're tracking performance in writing and solving the problems, that kind of stuff, removing stubborn low performers and rewarding high performers. And when it's badness, when it's lack of management, unnecessary problems occur, problems get out of control that could have been solved easily, that resources are squandered, people are doing basic tasks, and you can see I was marking the boxes on how I felt, what was happening. And
this is great data. This should probably be shared with all the branch chiefs.
Oh, okay.
With Ed. Because I can see the reactive nature of this if we would follow this, then we wouldn't be dealing with this. You know, we're always reacting to a situation. I mean, disasters is a normal thing during the season, but some stuff we can get ahead of.
Yeah, and that's how I felt, you know, that we were not we as a team, but I was mismanaging the team in the sense that, you know, I was losing control, you know, and not necessarily control, but I was losing focus and losing what was happening on my team.
Right.
Yeah, and so I had a staff meeting on Thursday, and I just basically told them what the expectations were, what was the, you know, fire things. I told them they need to go through their own portfolio instead of, you know, even though I was going to do it for my own, and they need to figure out what's happening on their portfolio and update IRMs, you know, so that the next person or headquarters can know that information. Because I felt like I was doing it all on my own and trying to figure it out on my own because so much stuff was popping up and I didn't know about.
Wow. So you had basically an epiphany.
Yeah.
So what was last night? So then what do you want to discuss then today? Do you want to discuss your epiphany or how to move forward? Or you tell me what you want to discuss.
Yeah, so last night, this was the thing that I wanted to discuss. So I was telling myself that I needed to get more organized. So I was trying to figure out for myself how I needed to do that. And I was thinking about each person and, you know, and it always came back to those problem people and the stressful issues that I was having. So one of the things is I felt like I had a program assistant, but I really wasn't using her. She was just really answering phones and doing that task. And I was wondering to myself, how can I use her better? And so I brought her in. Today I came in and I was like, I need to fix my life. I need you to scan all this stuff in. I said, you can start on Monday, and, you know, you can even take your time, but I need you to stop this because I was having her scan in training in my cloud, and the people weren't going, you know, the people who needed it weren't going to the cloud.
Right.
And I said, and that's what I told her. I said, they're not using the cloud anyway. I said, the training's here in this drawer. If they need help, I can come to this drawer and I can give them information. I said, I need you to do this. And she was like, great, that's giving me something to do. Because she wanted to be more busy, but I guess she never came to ask. So I'm like, yes, okay. I can get my organization done. And then, for example, there's a person and we were supposed to go out and do an MOR tomorrow. And I should have known. This is another thing, you know, that has, you know, the ball gets dropped on. I gave her a training on desk reviews. She sat through a Warner's training, and now here we are the day before the MOR, and I'm finding out she didn't send a scheduling letter. She didn't send the addendum B, addendum C, addendum D. She didn't ask for bank, you know, because there was no scheduling letter. She didn't ask the people for bank statements. And then I'm like, I had to ask her yesterday. I'm like, because I told her I need that desk review ASAP, you know, so I can review it. And we were supposed to go over yesterday, but Ed's meeting lasted longer. So somebody told me to get here early because, you know, that person comes in at 6 and they're gone by 2:30. And I found out all this information, so now we're going into this MOR and probably are not going to have any documents. So I had to reach out to I literally had to coach her through the MOR, which I'm thinking she would have had at least a foundation. And I'm like, what did you learn? Where's your notes from, you know, Warner's training? I said, because he told me he gave you guys a scheduling letter. He told me he walked you through this step by step and told you what information that you need to send out. And she pulls up the notes and she has the stuff in there. And she just didn't follow it. So those kind of issues. But then she did say that she felt, you know, she was like, I felt like I'm an incompetent person right now. And I'm like, it's not, I said, it's not that you're incompetent. I'm like, but you didn't follow up on this MOR. And now here we are, last day, and we're trying to get everything done. I'm like, you need to write this down. And so I was going through the steps. So now she's finishing the desk review. I've showed her how to run the tracks reports. Rachel's running the EIV reports, but it's stuff like that.
So that's causing you to feel disorganized, because if you aren't controlling your life. So our topic today is going to be how to get organized or what's causing, maybe identify what's causing the disorganization.
Yeah.
And you just provided one example. So looking, you've got your two little cheat sheets here. What can you do, maybe using that as a guide, the other way around, what can you do to, maybe even just using this example, one example, what can you do as a branch chief to not let this happen again?
So what I have been telling myself is, and this was the hardest thing for me, is because I felt like I was telling the people that do one-on-ones with me to, if you needed help, to come to me. Right. And people just don't. You know, that I don't know if it's a personality thing on them, and they just don't come to me unless it's a crisis kind of thing. And I think for her, because I already knew the challenges that I had, I told myself that she's going to have to I'm going to require that she meets with me one-on-one every week, that I'm going to track her performance in writing, because I have been keeping track of like all the stuff I've had to return to her, but I've just been putting it in a drawer. And James gave me his spreadsheet, and so I'm going to start putting it in the spreadsheet for when I get to my EPIs, you know, and then just telling her regularly.
Or even a grade increase, you know, because you have, I think that's coming up.
Yeah. Because
when those come up, then you have to determine, because they're going to ask you, you know, are they meeting the performance standards of whatever grades in the next ladder?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you have to be able to, just like at EPIs, as you know, support, or just like at an MOR, you have to support it above average, like you have to support it below average.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got a plan in place. Do you feel confident that you can make that mandatory, the one-on-one?
I think yes, I think that like now it's at critical, and I'm just going to basically spell out to her, because I've said this before, you know, do you really, you know, when you become a GS11, you're supposed to be more independent. You know, I'm going to give you more troubled properties. Are you really ready for that? You know, what are you going to do, you know, to prepare yourself for this GS11 position? And, you know, parts of me wonders, you know, I definitely don't think she's ready to go to a GS11. I think she would have been better starting at a lower grade, you know, and maybe you can, as a project manager, but I don't see where she's making the effort, you know, to learn this job.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the way she learns it, but at the same time, you know, if I didn't get the attitude along with it, or the fact that you think you know everything instead of asking for help, or you're responding, for example, the lady asked her, Erica, do I need to provide anything else for this MOR? She gave me an email from the lady. Because I asked her, where's your scheduling letter? She goes, guess it's the scheduling letter. And she was like, oh, I didn't have a scheduling letter. I just sent the email. And I'm like, no. And that's when I, you know, where's your notes from, you know, the Warner's training? Or she said, well, I didn't have any training on the desk review. I said, yes, you did. I gave you training on desk review, and then you went to Warner's training.
So how are you going to, just with this one particular situation, how can you get better organized just with employee issues like this? I mean, what tools can you use, what can you identify that can get you more organized?
I think one is to meet with her regularly, to keep track her performance in writing, to write it in a way that James is writing his, to tell what's the part of the EPIs that you're not getting, and making sure that I think the tracking performance in writing is really going to help me to back up for EPIs if I don't, you know, which at this point I don't think that I would recommend a GS11.
Yeah.
You know, but I need to back that up. I need to show.
Yeah.
And then part of that is, you know, the person that wasn't doing the job for 5 months because they were doing something else. And, for example, I go and talk to Charles about the situation, and he's like, oh, maybe the person learns differently, or maybe, you know, they were doing a really good job, and maybe this is harder for them to learn. And I'm like, I get that, but, you know, where's their motivation to want to do the job?
Yeah. Okay. And do you think that's going to be helpful for you?
I think it would be helpful for me. I don't know. I think it would be more frustrating for her, and it might even, based on the way she responds to things now, I think it's going to be more of a dissension for her.
And how are you going to handle that if, you know, you start, I guess, lowering the boom, so to speak, and requiring, you know, I mean, she's on a 6 to 2:30 schedule, so if you don't get in until 7:30 or 8, there's a window of opportunity that maybe she misses with you for training. How are you going to deal with her? Maybe, I mean, there's probably going to be backlash if you start, you know, tightening the noose, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is that going to cause you more angst or grief, or is that going to be part of, I guess you could call it a relief, because you're calling people on the carpet by each of their, expectations. You know, you've got low performers and you've got high performers, and you're talking about just this one particular person. You know, you're wanting to, you know, pull them on the carpet, call them on the carpet. You know, these are going to be the requirements, and you're going to have to probably, as you're saying, you're going to have to micromanage.
Yeah.
How's that going to feel for you when you already feel overwhelmed and disorganized? And what do you have in place, or what can you put in place that's going to protect your anxiety and your stress already? I guess is what I'm trying to get up to. I mean, I think it's a great plan. You have to do that because...
I think that's a good question.
Yeah, because you have to do that because you've got some critical decisions to make coming up, you know, a grade increase and then her end of the year rating, you know, and this is just going to put more undue stress on you. And how are you going to take care of you in the process of all this? And that's just one employee. You've got a couple others that you're struggling with, I think. So I want to put that question out there for you. Maybe you need to pause and think about it.
Okay.
You know, because you know you and you know what's going to help you, what you can identify.
Okay.
I mean, who knows? Maybe this will make you feel better because you have a plan. Who knows? You'll have to think through that and think about it when we talk about that when you're ready.
Okay.
So, anyway, so this plan with her, could you also use the same plan on another staff person that you maybe have issues with? Maybe not as stringent issues, but you know what I'm saying?
I think
it's inapplicable.
I think the plan, the other person, the difference is the other person realized the issues that they have, and they're asking for help, or they're saying when they feel overwhelmed, and they're letting me know when things are falling through now, you know, or when I have been paying more attention because it's like saying this person didn't update SharePoint, or this person, you know, has R4Rs due, and that, you know, when I go and ask them about it, sometimes they've done the work, but they've been so frazzled, you know, they haven't did the SharePoint they didn't do, but they haven't closed them out, you know, and so they're kind of self-managing themselves, you know, and realizing, okay, I'm struggling with this, and they're coming in. Before they were coming in every week, and now they're coming in every day. Okay, this is what's happening on my portfolio, you know, I need help with this. And I think that's the difference, because that person is actually wanting to fix or to get back to the person they said that they were, whereas the other person, it just seemed like they like, oh, well, you know, I'll do what you say for today, but then tomorrow's going to be the same thing.
How's that working for you if that other person's coming in every day? I mean, is that an additional burden to you, or is that somewhat of a relief that there's a communication?
It's a relief, it's a communication, because they have some wild things going on with their portfolio.
Right.
But what we have done is, for those properties, some of those properties that they were struggling with, they have been transferred to the trouble team.
Oh, perfect.
Yep. And so just getting them to get in all the information into Laserfish so the resolution specialist can know what they're doing, and all the comments in the problem statement is what I've been working on with them. Like, come on, let's transfer this property. You know, the person and the resolution specialist is Sue for both properties.
Okay.
So she's been involved in everything.
Okay.
Like if we have conference calls or if we have emails back and forth, Sue's been involved. So
okay.
that's kind of helped.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you have a plan in place. Did all of this kind of come to you last night when you couldn't go to bed till 2:30?
No.
No? So what kept you up last night?
What kept me up because it felt like for example, my lack of organization. I realized that I didn't send somebody an email, or I didn't call somebody back, or I didn't follow up on something. So it was these things that I was like, man, you know, I gotta follow up on this in the morning, or I gotta talk to this person in the morning.
Weren't you using to-do list?
Yeah.
And you knocked off almost all of last week's call. You had a page and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
I'm still using the to-do list, but it was just like, for example, when we sat in Ed's meeting yesterday, and it was all these tasks that I had to do, and I was like, crap, I didn't do none of that when I left that meeting.
Yeah, it went on too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was mainly the things that I hadn't done. It was the things from that, you know, that I had in that meeting. I was like, wow, I didn't do any of that. But other stuff I was getting resolved, you know. Other stuff on my to-do list I was getting resolved. Okay. And I'm still keeping track of my hotline information. Luckily for me, I'm not bombarded with hotlines in congressional, but I've been using my Outlook to put dates. So if I tell somebody to tell them to respond by July 7th, and I'm putting myself a note, this is due on this date, but the response is due from these people on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's another tool. Okay, so that's good. So to-do list in the Outlook.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been like a lifesaver. It's like my list. Some of the times my list gets done, but it's just that other stuff that Ed piles on you.
Right. Yeah, you kind of monopolized the staff meeting yesterday, didn't you, with all your properties?
Yeah. But remember I told you, I said there's some days I feel like I don't know how to respond, you know.
Yeah.
And other days, like yesterday, I knew everything, all the properties that he was asking me about.
So you should give yourself a gold star for that. So you're making progress if you can give yourself the kudos. You've got a level of confidence. Yeah, you were spouting it off yesterday.
Yeah.
So that just comes with time. I think it's another 5 to 7, like we talk about being a project manager. You know, the branch chief, you grow. It's part of a growth. And I think finding your strength finder and your 360 and your
this
you can see where you were at when you took each one of those, and then maybe think, wonder if I've changed any, or is this still right on? Because I think some of that stuff, you know, some stuff is internal and, you know, embedded in us and characteristic based on our experience. However, some stuff, you know, there's going to be growth. So that's good that you found all those.
And it's another thing I did is I told you the 2 books that I've just stopped. Although now I'm going to have to read that Speed of Trust. But I've stopped reading all those thousands of different books, even though I have it in my backpack as reference. But I went down to that From Bud to Boss, because remember we were talking about, for me, becoming an account executive or a resolution specialist to a branch chief. And then the other book was It's Okay to Be the Boss. That's where I got this.
Oh, okay.
That's where I got this, because you know, it was showing me, this was like in the first few pages, and I was like, I gotta copy that and print that out. I was gonna put that here.
Maybe your lack of confidence or disorganization. Do you think it's because you went from being a resolution specialist to the boss, going from colleague to commander?
I think that's definitely a part of it.
Okay.
I think, and you know, never being a supervisor, not knowing what I was doing wrong. Remember, I kept telling you, you know, that I would go to Ed and he would say, I'm doing a good job, but I didn't feel like I was doing a good job because I didn't know all the aspects of being a supervisor, you know, and I was just basically to me, I wasn't practicing being a supervisor. I was just doing the work. I'm the kind of person where I just do the work, you know, and however I'm a get it done kind of person, you know, however I have to get that done. And I didn't really know what it meant to be a supervisor.
So looking back from day one when you became a supervisor, 13, 14 months later, do you see any growth? And if so, can you describe how you may have changed to become a supervisor? Because it's not going to happen overnight.
Oh yeah, I definitely do, because before, you know, I felt like I was just thrown in the problems that I didn't know how to fix. I didn't know the union guidance. I didn't know all the tasks that I was responsible for, you know, because I think even like 6 or 7 months in, Ed didn't even give me expectations. You know, and he finally handed out expectations on, you know, that I need you to have 5, you know, no more than 5 of whatever, not
APPs or whatever.
Things like that. So I didn't even have expectations. So I was just trying to keep a list. Okay, what in August, I literally was like, in July I did this, in August I did that. And so now some of that's starting to repeat itself, like the mid-year. Because last time I had to do mid-years and I didn't know anything about those people I was doing mid-years on, and I had to send the mid-years to other people. Well, now when I felt like I did EPIs and mid-years, I knew my staff, and you know, I knew the challenges that I was having with people, and I can actually put things in there. Or now I feel, for example, I feel I can't just, you know, I'm being more focused on, you know, not that people are doing things like I would do them, and that I'm trying to learn these 8 different people's personalities and how they work. Whereas before I felt like remember I told you I felt like I was a people person until I met these people. Right. Yeah, and so I didn't realize all the challenges. So it was like before as a coworker, I really didn't care about your performance. It didn't affect me. Right. You not doing your job didn't affect me. Whatever. You know, I came in and I did my work and I went home and I developed friendships maybe, you know. But now your performance is affecting me, or you know, I need to understand why your performance is high, you know, and reward that, or not high and address it.
So that maybe this is a good thing. I mean, the realization and all of that. And your approach now, you know, one-on-one, you've got somewhat of a template of how you're going to approach this with your new discovery. So then you're probably going to have to tweak it for each person's personality or work, whether it's high, low, medium, whatever, you know, and put it back on them. Do you want to be high, low, or medium, you know? You know, if so, let's look at what you need to do to get there and how I can help you. So, I mean, because basically it's going to be their call. And you've got the tools. We've discussed how you have the tools to help them get to a place where they're a great project manager, because you've been there before.
So it's a good day.
So you're probably going to go to bed early tonight?
Probably. So.
You have Jennifer this week?
No, but Jennifer, you know, she says that she doesn't want to stay at either house. So Tim was gone all last week, so she didn't get to see him at all.
Yeah.
So she just kind of hanging out.
Okay.
She did come over to the house and get the pizza that I bought her this weekend. So I think she's comfortable.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Yeah, I think the only goal for next session is think about how all of this is going to affect you. You know, I think that's your question right there. What is, you know, think about that, because you're going to have to make some tough decisions with one or two people, you know, and that's going to cause angst. You know, how is that going to affect you? Because sometimes it's hard to deliver bad news, or it's hard to just back away and let them fall on their face. You know, and it's just hard. I mean, you know, I had to do it with Lorraine. Because I was trying to keep up with the stuff, and it just, I thought, you know what, I'm enabling, so I had to back off. So just think about how that's going to affect you, emotionally and everything. Because you're trying to get to a good place, you know.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.